Hello YouTubers and fellow hams. Well, I'm down at the bench this morning, and this is a Kenwood TS430S HF transceiver. Classic radio, nice radio. Good receiver on these things, and really nice audio. The owner brought this to me, and he had three issues. Number one, he says the power switch on the power supply over here is intermittent, and he has to fiddle and wiggle with it to get it to turn on. So we're going to look at that. Secondly, he says when he's got the meter in ALC mode, that he gets no swing on the ALC, on the meter. He says he's transmitting just fine, and everybody says his audio is fine, but there's no swing. So we're going to probably have to look at the ALC circuit. And lastly, he's got a narrow filter here that he wants installed. This is the YK-88C narrow filter for CW, I believe. Yeah, it doesn't say on the box what its bandwidth is. I'll look that up, and I'll put it on the screen here somewhere. But it is the YK-88C, and I think that's the well, it's the narrow CW filter. Right now, when you flip the switch to narrow, the receiver dies because there's no through path for the filter. So we're going to install that. But first things first, we're going to look at this power switch. Okay. Oh, and I apologize for the audio. My lavalier mic is failing, so I'm on camera audio today. There's probably some echo. All right. So he says when he turns the power switch on, he has to wiggle it to get it to come on. I've been flipping it on and off here for quite a while, about 30 times, and it's come on perfectly every time. Oops, well maybe that's what he's talking about, because that's not wanting to it comes loose real easy if I just wiggle it. It wants to pop back out. So maybe he's talking about the mechanical latch in there that latches the switch in. That's the problem. So we'll have to open that cover up and take a look at that. Well, I got the top cover off the power supply, and I pulled the switch away from the panel so we can see it here. And it's all enclosed. And man, it does not take much of a bump to release that at all. In fact, I could see where if the knob was dragging on the case edge, it might not click in, because yeah, wow, it only has to move about a 32nd of an inch into release. The spring mechanism that latches it is underneath this metal shield here, and I'm gonna have to take that off to actually get to it. And it's just cinched on with a couple of points there and a clip on the back, so we should be able to just release these. A little jeweler screwdriver. And get this metal cover to come off. There we go. Oh, the whole switch came apart. All right. Oh dear. What did I get myself into this time? You ever take something apart and then wonder what the heck you were thinking? Yeah, I know. Did that all the time when I was a kid. I took things apart all the time, and I always ended up with all these parts, and then I had to figure out how they all went back together. The problem is going to be right here with this little wire and the bits of plastic that it latches into in there, because it oops. It swings up and it swings behind that, and then it clicks into it, and then it swings back out and goes out this way. So I think Well, when I got the cover off and took the switch apart, I discovered that the plastic in here, there's a little piece of wire that clicks into this plastic in here and shifts in and out as you push the switch in and back. And this plastic is just worn out right there. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's worn down thin and the end of it has been wearing away, so it's not clicking reliably. So I'm going to have to replace this switch and try to find something that will fit in here that's also a push button click switch that will still line up well enough for the front plastic piece. Yeah, good luck with that, Kevin. Well, I'm off to dig through my parts and see if I can find anything. Well, I've dug all through my parts bins and I don't have anything that will match this switch in the old Kenwood here. But you might recall the repeater power supply that I repurposed for a bench supply a while back. Well, it has a push button switch. And I think it was a Kenwood repeater, so it's likely very similar in design to the switch that's in the customer's supply. And I can always put a regular old junk toggle switch on here. I don't care about how this looks, but if this switch will match what he's got and fit in there, then for me it's worthwhile taking the time to take this switch out of here and put it in that Kenwood supply, or put it in the radio supply over here. Looks really close. I don't know what the depth is here. I'll have to actually desolder it and take it over there to test fit it, so I guess let's go ahead and do that. Well, I've got the new switch mounted right there. I did have to drill out the holes on the little metal wings so the screws could come in from this side, because the one that was in there was threaded for screws coming in from the other side. And it operates just fine. So now nothing left to do but solder the wires on. I already got one of them sitting here. I was just getting ready to solder it and thought I should turn the camera on. And the other one. Kind of a tight fit in here. Shorter. Don't want any wires sticking out here. This is an AC connection. In fact, I might put some kind of insulation. I probably will put some insulation over the top of this. There we go. Wires are soldered in. I guess we're ready to test it. Yep. Red light, no red light. Red light, no red light. They work. The switch works fine. So there we go. We've replaced the power switch in there. Nothing left to do but insulate this thing so it doesn't have any potential to short against the case. Although the case is here, there's about a third of an inch to half an inch of a gap between the case and those lugs. I'm still going to put some electrical tape or something over that to insulate it before I put the case back on. So that takes care of the power switch. I just need to get it back together, reorganize the bench a little bit here, and quickly I'm going to toss another switch in on this before I bring the radio back over. But then we're going to bring the radio over and we're going to install that CW filter, so that's what you'll see next. Okay, having a look inside of here, this is very, very similar, almost identical to the layout in my 440S, which I previously did a video on doing the filter, and it's going to be very similar here, with the exception of no wires to move. Now, I don't know if you recall, but on the 440S, Since they had automatic filter selection when you're switching modes, they had a wire that you had to move on the IF board to allow the filter to be automatically switched in when you switched to CW mode or sideband mode, switching it out automatically. This does not have that. There is a wire, and it's right here, and they talk about in the manual when you install the optional AM filter that this wire has to be moved. And I'm looking at the service manual over here. AM filter, move the wire from S to A. And this has the AM filter in here, but the wire, which is this little white wire here, is still on S. So whoever installed this AM filter did not move the wire over like they should. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Basically, they they had the AM filter in, but it's disabled. So I'll have to ask the owner about that. He might have installed it and just missed that step. Or if he intentionally did not want the switching of the filter. Of course, it would be kind of silly to put the AM filter in and then leave it disabled. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and move that wire there. So now the AM filter will work. Where it wouldn't have been used before, or wouldn't have been selected before. Okay, so our filter is going to go right here in this spot. And very similar to the 440S, this whole tray lifts up and out, which I'm not going to have to do, but I do need to get to the bottom of this board to solder the filter in. So I am going to have to remove these two screws here, which allows the entire IF filter assembly to pivot up. But under the bottom, there is no access to get to the bottom of the board to do the soldering. But I do need to lift it up in order to get to these two screws here that hold the heatsink to the back. And then I should be able to take out these 6, 7 screws and just lift the entire IF board up and over to do the soldering without having to unhook anything. They have enough cable there to allow this, turn that off, there, to allow this to raise up to give you access to the board underneath. And those same cables will let me just lay the board over to do the soldering. So let me get these screws out of here. Now the IF board should be free, and it is. And as you can see, I've got enough cable there that I can gently take it over to get access to these pads in the back to do the soldering. So let's put the filter in. Now these are non-polarized. They can go in either way, but I'm going to install it so the lettering is the same orientation as the other two filters that are here, just to keep things nice and neat. Oh, those tabs have been bent. This filter was removed from another radio. So we'll get those carefully lined up and inserted. Make sure we're not pinching any wires or impacting any other components, and we're not. And now it's just down to doing the soldering. Bring my third hand over here and have it hold this for me. There we go. Okay, I'm going to solder these two tabs first. Well, I'm going to turn on my soldering iron first. How's that for step one? Okay, the soldering iron is warm. Just reheat that and push on the filter. Yep, it's nice and tight against the bottom of the board. Get the other tab. It takes a little heat to get those tabs because the case of the filter is acting like a heat sink. There we go. Now the filter pins themselves. Yes, I saw that solder ball. I'm going to get it. Okay, that's that. Now we just have to carefully get this back in there. Make sure we're not pinching any wires anywhere. Okay, we're all good. Alright, now the boring part is just putting the screws back in, so I won't make you watch me put all the screws back in. We'll just get it all back together and then we'll power it up and we'll see how that filter sounds. Okie dokie! We got the radio back on. And I'm in CW mode, and I've got the signal generator over there kicking out a carrier. And this is the wide filter. And you can hear that really high pitch. If I turn in the narrow filter, so it's a 500 hertz filter, I think. You hear it fall off about there. And about there. If we come back to wide, then you can hear the lower and the higher tones. I've got modulation going on, so we've got an upper and a lower sideband. Turn that off. Now we just hear the one carrier. And you hear how high that is. With the narrow filter in, we don't hear it at all unless we come down on it a ways. And it falls off about there. But it's still there. Hear the low pitch. And there you can hear how a narrow filter really cleans things up. With the wide filter in, you'll hear static from below and above the tone. Can you hear that? And by flipping in the narrow filter, we're narrowing down the bandpass. So there's still a little bit of static, but it's not as strong or obvious as before. So even in the pass range, it cleans up the signal you're listening to. So our narrow filter is working fine on CW. Go ahead and cut out the signal generator. Won't need that. So the other thing that he was talking about was ALC not working. Now I'm hooked up to the dummy load. Let me grab the microphone. Oh, and of course the power switch is absolutely fine on the power supply now, which is good. Okay. Let's see, we got a microphone hooked up. Mic gain. Oh, go into sideband mode, Kevin. There we go. Hello, 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 hello. Ah, okay. I get up on the mic and I see some swing. I have to be about an inch away. I think he just had his mic gain low. Let me just bring the mic gain up. Hello, hello. Oh yeah, there we go. Plenty of audio. Hello. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That's yeah, that's working just fine. Let's go to current mode. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. 1, 2. Yeah, okay. 1, 2. There's about 15 amps on the peak draw, which is about right. 1, 2, 1, 2, and the ALC looks like it's working fine. Okay, I think he just had his mic gain down. ALC seems to be swinging just fine, so I'll talk to him about that. But we have got the power switch replaced on the power supply, so that's fine. We've installed the CW narrow filter, and it's working just fine. And we've tested the ALC, and it seems okay. So I think we're done with this little bit of service work.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.